Hi everybody, it's Nick again. I wasn't going to do this vlog today because I seem to have verbal diarrhea at the minute and be vlogging all the time, but I thought it was really important because something hit me quite startlingly actually, and that I don't really know any women of or around similar age to me, middle-aged, I guess kind of mid-40s onwards, who oh look, I've just some hair. It's a bit vain, isn't it? Who are actually really okay. And what I find really, really interesting in all walks of my life, whether I'm bumping into somebody in the supermarket, whether I've gone to an appointment to have some, therapy or treatment done, no matter, no matter what it is I'm doing, and maybe this is just because I'm very, very open to people talking to me. I don't know. I just don't know anybody who's really doing okay. I don't know anybody that's not actually struggling with life and the menopause and aching bones and anxiety and low self-esteem and brain fog and weight and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And that is not okay. It is bloody not okay. And it's not okay that not only do I observe that, but then the second thing I observe is that there's no real support mechanism for those women. And they're almost, what I observe a lot is, I'm going to have to ring my GP. Like, that's a really hard thing to do, because actually for most people it is a really hard thing to do, because first of all, it's really difficult to get hold of a GP. This isn't about laying into GPs, but the system is well fucked up. And no, it is absolutely not okay that you have to basically ring and you're triaged by, with the greatest respect, a non-medical professional on the reception who are absolutely doing their best to manage an onslaught of demands that they do not have the resources to meet. And then even if you get through that triage and you manage to get either a phone call or, praise the goddamn Lord, an appointment, you're allocated 10 minutes. How the fuck can you talk to somebody and get to the bottom and really understand what's required in 10 minutes? And the thing that makes me, I'm a bit raging about this today, because it does upset me that I see so many women that aren't okay. And the other thing that then enrages me is, for most people, when they rock up to doctor's surgeries, they have no confidence in being able to see the same doctor. So there is no continuity, there is no consistency, there is no relationship built up over time, and you're constantly having to go through things. And it makes us feel bad, doesn't it, when we're constantly having to say, this is how I feel. And then you hear this narrative and you hear women say it, myself included, oh, but I suppose I should look on the bright side. Actually, somebody actually said to me, and it is really upsetting that she felt she had to say that. It'd be good to catch you. I promise I won't moan. Actually, you don't have to promise me you won't moan, because maybe you need to. Maybe this menopause, maybe this stage in our life, maybe it's nothing to do with the menopause and this stage in this life. Maybe just the way life is at the minute needs fucking moaning about, and needs challenging, and needs changing. And it really, really, really hit me. It's like a slap in the face yesterday, because I was just doing normal stuff. I was just going to normal places. I'm not going to say exactly where, because, whoever talks to me should absolutely feel they can do it in confidence. And I would be really, really upset for anybody not to feel that. So I am really sensitive about that. But just in everyday walks of life, I encounter so many people that are not okay, and that is really hard. And we do not have a narrative and a support system in place to enable people to find a way to be okay. And I absolutely think the majority of women that I interact with, either on a one-to-one basis that I know in my life, or that I interact with online, or that I hear from online, even if I've never met them, or we're all connected, right? We're all human beings. I can't remember actually getting the feeling that there's some level of narcissism or victimization type mindset. This is genuine pain and suffering that women are going through, and they really want to be able to find a way to find the joy in their life and to find the energy to actually have that joy in their life, and they just don't know where to fucking go, and it's not okay. So where do we start? Well, I think a really big thing is, and I've always said this all the way along, I live in a village, which means we have a very small doctor's surgery, which means we don't have very many doctors. I can also pretty much guarantee, and I know other people might disagree, I don't know, maybe I just get lucky every time, I don't know. I can pretty much guarantee 9 times out of 10, if I ring, you know, first thing in the morning, I can, as a minimum, get to speak to a doctor that day. Generally, I get to see one. I know the doctors, there is consistency. I know the people that work there. I, you know, just feel it's a really good system because it's part of a community, and I think a lot of healthcare needs to be broken down and put back into the community rather than huge centres. I mean, one of the things that I found actually made my blood run cold. It was a horrible experience. Actually, it was horrible. And I realised that people have to do it in terms of turning the volume, but it was just not nice. I remember going to a hospital with my dad when he was having chemotherapy for his cancers before he died. And at one of the appointments, they said he needed to get his bloods done. And they sent us off to the department where they take your bloods. And we had to take a ticket. We had to take a ticket. And we were a fucking number waiting to get his bloods done. And when our number was called, he went in and they took his bloods and then they fed back. And actually, you know, if you think about that, if you really think about that, he was in particularly my dad was in a deeply vulnerable situation. He was being treated for cancer. It was the last chance, you know, the chemo and the radiotherapy that he was having, it was the last chance. There were no other options. Actually later that year he died. So it was a really heartbreaking, traumatic and difficult time for us. So yes, so actually it does matter that you are treated as a person, not a diagnosis, not a number to be called out to go and have your bloods taken. But I think that exemplifies a lot of what is happening, and also why and I think the menopause is a fantastic example actually of something that is not purely medical. I think it is medical, but I think it's psychological, I think it's emotional, I think it's mental, I think it's everything. It's like accumulation of all of us. And therefore, the way we've set up our whole medical system, I think there's some really big questions about the way we've set up our medical system. The GP system, absolutely. 10 minutes, no consistency, no development of it. If ever there was a need to have a genuine relationship with a medical professional, and maybe it's not the job of GPs. Maybe we actually need a different type of person to support us. Maybe we need somebody that is really trained in the menopause, because that touches a lot of different facets, not just the medical training. But one thing for sure is we need to have a relationship with somebody, and we need to get to know them over time, and we need more than 10 goddamn minutes with them. And even of women I speak to who say, you know, I'm gonna steel myself, I'm gonna ring the doctor, and I'm gonna tell them what I'm gonna need, and I'm gonna tell them, and I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna try HRT. And even that, you know, you have to go, but we know that HRT is only one part of it. We know that. We have many different hormones. Estrogen is one of them. And it is, you know, certainly my experience has been, it is the imbalance and the crashing and the not having certain hormones at a certain moment in time that manifests in so many different symptoms. Many times, I'm sure I'm not the only one, I have been offered antidepressants because they don't fucking know what else to give you. But antidepressants work with serotonin. They're not going to deal with my hormonal imbalance. So it really hit me the other day that we have a significant crisis in our society of women that are not being supported in a holistic, educated, empowered way. I think we are all looking and searching and wanting to be able to do the right things for ourselves, but Jesus gave us the tools to do that. So I do think there's something really fundamental that needs to change here, and that is a much more holistic approach, which isn't just about what are your symptoms, but it's about who are you and what's happened to you, because the emotional and the trauma side plays such a big part in our menopause. It really does. And I think there's something bigger here as well. You know, again, it was one of the things I find really sad, and it's happened to me. It's happened to me, and I remember this happening to me, and it did upset me. I know it shouldn't, but it did. It doesn't really upset me now. I've kind of moved past it, but I remember bumping into somebody, oh, it's a few years ago. I don't know, I was probably 2 or 3 years into my menopause, right? And I bumped into somebody who I'd known for many years. I'd worked with them, and they didn't recognise me. And I said, oh. And immediately, and I wanted to go in the toilet and cry, because you know what I was thinking? I've put on so much weight, they don't recognise me. And I do know that when I look at pictures of me, even 10 years ago, I do look really quite different, because, you know, my body shape's changed. I am a lot bigger, and I'm now in a place where, honestly, I actually don't give a shit about that. I really genuinely don't. And I think I've learned to embrace it, because I think it is a natural part of aging. And actually it's really important. I really love my food, and I really love my food and wine. And that's part of, you know, a good quality of life for me. So I have moved past that. But this one comment that was, oh, you know, they were almost kind of cringing to see me, because they were like, oh, and the first thing, oh, but I put on all this weight. It's like, that's not, you haven't seen me for ages, that's not the first thing you have to say. You are still the same person. I'm not looking at you thinking you've put on weight or you haven't put on weight. I'm just looking at you thinking it's really nice to see you. But what does that say about the society we live in? And yeah, you know, we are going to have to work hard to move beyond these stereotypes. Not helped. Please, can all of these role models like Davina fucking McCall please stop rocking up as size 8? God knows how much money she's making out of the menopause thing, and I'm sure she's done an enormous amount of bringing it to the forefront. But when you've got an army of nutritionists and helpers, and you can pretty much dedicate your life to feeling super duper, then that's great. But no, she doesn't represent, and she does not represent the majority of menopausal middle-aged women. She doesn't. And it's hurting us. It is hurting us when we see these women trying to be our voice, because I can't see myself in Davina McCall. I can't. Can you? So something needs to change about the role model. Something definitely needs to change about the support that we have. I mean, I'm not going to add it up. I am not going to add up how much I spend on nourishing and taking care of myself since this menopause started. And actually my teeth, that's a whole nother conversation. Fucking teeth and the whole dentistry issue in this country. But anyway, I'm not going to add it up, because it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. I am hugely grateful, and why wouldn't, you know, if I have it, why wouldn't I use it to take care of myself? Because what is more important than our health? But I do know that I am hugely blessed, and that is not the case for the majority of women out there, and that's not right. And I know that's not right, and it's not okay. And we have to get better at providing their therapeutic and holistic support to women in the menopause. We have to get better at changing the role models and allowing us to be who we are, and to actually embrace our changing body shape, our changing sexual needs, our changing physical needs. We have to get better at getting off the rat race, you know, talking about, you know, 40 or 50 hour weeks, you know, 5 full-time days. There has to be a better way. There has to be. And there is, I very rarely bump into anybody that's really at peace with themselves in the middle age. And I don't know what it's like outside of our culture in terms of the westernized culture. So I think a lot of it might be to do with our materialism and the media and all the rest of it. But it is a bit of a rant. I think I'm quite fiery about it today. And I'm fiery about it because I see a lot of women hurting. I see them hurting and I see them suffering, and it pisses me off, because I don't think they should be suffering and hurting like that. I think we should be able to support. So I think there's several levels of support. So I think there's much more of a better societal support around our health system and holistic support. I think there should be much more of support around being able to embrace who we are in the Middle Ages and changing the narrative around aging. And I think there's also another level of support in terms of us being able to share our vulnerabilities, and this overarching thing we have when we say it's okay not to be okay, but then what happens when you really say you're not okay? Somebody tries to fix you and invalidates the fact that you don't feel okay, and you feel even more inadequate because you haven't got either the motivation or fucking energy to do anything about it. And I really get that, because some days you just need to wallow in it, right? And then you can move on from it. So they are today's thoughts. Little bit of a rage, little bit of a we got to get better at this. We have to get better at this, because I don't really know anybody that's rocking it, and that's not okay. Lots of love to everybody. Take care. Bye.